We live in the age of exhibition, an era where privacy is currency and everyone spends it cheaply. Actors sell their personalities, influencers sell their breakfast, strangers sell their loneliness in exchange for hearts that pulse on screens but never in real life. Hollywood didn't just adopt this world, it built it. Status now depends on visibility. Relevance depends on noise. If you are not posting, you are disappearing. And yet, there is one of the most recognizable faces on Earth who has never shown you what he had for breakfast, who has never posted his location, his feelings, his vacations, his brief. No Instagram, no TikTok, no Twitter, no Facebook. Keanu Reeves is a ghost inside the machine we all willingly live in. In a culture trained to scream, "Look at me, validate me, remember me," he whispers, "Don't look at me, look at the world." He does not build a brand. He does not curate a persona. He does not feed the algorithm. His life is not a live stream. It is lived. He is the glitch in a system designed to expose us. The contradiction Hollywood cannot compute. A man adored globally who refuses to broadcast himself. An icon who vanishes between films. An actor who does not perform when the camera is off. Keanu Reeves is not behind the digital curtain. He stepped around it. He is the anti-influencer, the analog soul in a world digitized beyond recognition. Tonight, we ask the question the industry quietly fears. What becomes of a man who does not need to be seen to exist? And what does his silence reveal about us? In the modern age, celebrity is no longer a job, it is a feed. Public identity is a performance that never stops, even after the cameras do. Producers don't ask what you can act anymore, they ask how many followers you bring with you. Hollywood didn't just embrace social media, it outsourced fame to it. Actors became influencers, influencers became celebrities, and privacy became worthless. But Keanu Reeves refused the trade. He has never posted a selfie, never tweeted a thought, never chased a digital echo of his own existence. Why? Because Keanu understands something the rest of the industry forgot. Once you give your privacy away, you don't get it back. To most stars, exposure is oxygen. Keanu treats it like poison. His philosophy is simple but radical. What is sacred should remain unseen. Mystery is not weakness, it is power. This is why you will never find Keanu unpacking his emotions online, parading his romances, or weaponizing vulnerability for views. He has lived through pain that could have sold headlines, but he never sold it. Grief did not become content. Loss did not become PR. Healing did not become performance. He protected his story because he understood that dignity lives in silence. Contrast this with the Kardashian era, where tragedy is televised, tears are monetized, and identity is a brand to be managed and consumed. They became famous for being visible. Keanu became beloved for being absent. This is the paradox that haunts the algorithm. He is one of the most photographed people in the world, yet one of the least accessible. You can see him, but you cannot reach him. You can watch his interviews, but you will never know where he stays, who he dates, what he eats, or how he spends his nights. Not because he is secretive, but because he is sovereign. He does not mistake attention for intimacy. He does not confuse branding with identity. He does not seek validation in public visibility. Keanu Reeves learned young that the world will take whatever you give it, so he gives very little. It is his quiet rebellion against a culture addicted to oversharing. A statement without speech, my life belongs to me, not the audience.
This is why his kindness rings true, because it is not strategic, it is not public relations, it is not a performance broadcast for applause. It happens unseen, unposted, unrecorded. Keanu's privacy is not shyness, it is agency, a refusal to become a product. And in a world where everyone else is broadcasting themselves for survival, Keanu Reeves remains unbroadcasted, present, real, untranslated. But his rejection of the digital age is not just philosophical, it is physical. He prefers the world that can be touched, the world that carries weight, texture, ink, movement, the world that requires presence to exist.
Some people collect fame. Keanu Reeves collects typewriters. Not digital models, not novelty retro keys, but the heavy mechanical beasts from decades when words had to be pressed into existence. He owns dozens. Different eras, different weights, different souls. Why typewriters? Because they are honest. A typewriter demands intention. Every letter is physical. Every sentence has sound. Mistakes don't vanish, they scar the page. Keanu loves that. He writes books not on laptops, but on paper. He edits not with backspace, but with ink scratches and margins filled with thought. He reads scripts not on tablets, but printed. Worn corners, folded pages, coffee stains. To him, stories are not data, they are objects. He is a man who rides motorcycles not for speed, but because he can feel the machine breathing beneath him. A gear engages, a piston fires, a vibration passes through bone. You cannot swipe that, you must experience it. Keanu Reeves prefers things that resist automation, things that require touch, things that remind you you are here. We scroll through life. He handles it. Digital life is frictionless, and that is what he distrusts. When everything is instant, it becomes disposable. When meaning costs nothing, we forget to value it. When meaning costs weight, ink stains fingers. Machines rust if you don't care for them. There is responsibility in the analog world. Keanu Reeves chooses it deliberately. He once joked that his favorite possessions weigh too much to carry, but the meaning was not a joke. Analog life anchors him. The sound of keys, the rumble of engines, the texture of books, the grain of guitar wood, the warmth of handwritten notes. In a world seduced by screens, Keanu seeks substance. And this preference is not aesthetic, it is philosophical. Digital life is about display. Analog life is about presence. Most of us record moments instead of living them. Keanu refuses that reversal. This is why technology didn't just digitize entertainment, it digitized people. And that, to him, is the tragedy. He does not want to be consumed by strangers in pixels. He wants to exist in real space, because real space requires respect. Keanu's analog habits are not nostalgia, they are resistance. A refusal to let his humanity be absorbed into the screen. But analog life is not just objects, it is behavior. And nowhere is that clearer than in the way he touches people, or rather, the way he doesn't. In the digital age, our gestures became performance. Photos are not memories anymore, they are optics. Celebrities pose with fans, faces calibrated, hands placed automatically on shoulders and waists, as if affection is a default setting. But Keanu Reeves does something curious. When he takes photos with women, even strangers, even reporters, even fellow actresses, he does not touch them. His hand hovers just inches away. Not stiff, not anxious, simply respectful. When the photos went viral, people speculated. Was it fear? PR caution? Legal awareness? No. It was something older, almost archaic. Courtesy. Keanu does not assume he has permission to touch someone simply because they asked for a picture. He does not use intimacy as performance. He treats women and people as sovereign bodies. His hover hand is a philosophy made visible. Presence is not possession. Proximity is not entitlement. In the #MeToo era, this gesture felt prophetic, but Keanu had done it long before the movement. Because respect was not a trend to him, it was upbringing, it was internalized humility, it was analog etiquette in a digital culture that treats bodies like content. Where others imprint themselves physically or digitally, he creates space. Ironically, the world noticed. Screenshots spread, comment sections filled with praise, Look, he doesn't touch women without consent. People treated it as revelation. But the revelation wasn't the gesture. It was our shock that someone behaved this way. Keanu's hover hand became a symbol of something missing: boundaries, grace, discretion. He does not consume the moment, he participates in it. He does not use fans as accessories, he acknowledges them as individuals. And that mindset extends far beyond photographs. It shapes the way he interacts in crowds, in autograph lines, in interviews. He knows the difference between attention and touch, between admiration and appropriation. In a culture that collapses the two, Keanu maintains distinction. Once again, the analog man chooses analog ethics: presence without intrusion, connection without entitlement, closeness without possession. And nowhere is this ethic more visible than in how he moves through the smartphone age, where the real battle is not touch, but attention. We live in a world where moments are not lived, they are captured. People don't greet celebrities anymore, they film them. They don't shake hands, they extend phones. They don't ask questions, they demand photos. In modern fame, the fan experience is not interaction, it is acquisition. But Keanu Reeves does not play this game. Watch him in crowds. Phones rise, screens thrust toward his face. People speak through lenses instead of eyes. And gently, almost tenderly, Keanu lowers the phone and lifts their gaze instead. He says without words, "I am here. Be here with me." He refuses to interact with the recording version of someone. He interacts with the person. This is unsettling for some because presence is unfamiliar now. But Keanu insists on it. He leans in, makes eye contact, smiles as if the world around them does not exist for those few seconds. To him, the moment matters only if both people are in it. Smartphones create the illusion of connection. Keanu seeks the reality of it. He understands that a photo is not memory, attention is. This is why he asks names, repeats them, thanks people sincerely. Not because he needs to, but because he values what attention actually is: a gift, a currency higher than visibility. He has said in interviews that technology ungrounds people, pulls them out of their bodies. Keanu does the opposite. He returns them to themselves. In a meet-and-greet culture obsessed with documenting proximity, Keanu gives something almost extinct: presence. He treats strangers not as spectators, but as participants. And that is why those who meet him don't remember the photo. They remember how he made them feel. He turns transactions back into encounters. This is not nostalgia. It is resistance. Keanu Reeves is unplugged not because he hates technology, but because he refuses to outsource humanity to it. And the irony is rich. The most photographed man in Hollywood is the one most committed to experiences no camera can hold. But there is another layer to this unplugged existence: what he does when no one is watching. Because unlike modern celebrities who maintain fame by remaining visible, Keanu Reeves practices something almost forgotten: disappearing. Modern fame demands constant visibility. A celebrity must stay relevant by being photographed, interviewed, posted, tagged, tracked. We measure existence by exposure. If we don't see someone, we assume they've vanished. Keanu Reeves does something radical. He vanishes on purpose. Between films, he evaporates. No paparazzi trails, no calculated street-style photos, no airport pap walks with curated outfits and designer luggage. He becomes ordinary and unlokable. He reads in parks alone. He visits museums silently. He rides motorcycles, sometimes helmeted, sometimes unnoticed. He sits on benches like any other passerby. He does not need to be seen to exist. In an industry that survives on spectacle, Keanu Reeves survives on absence. He once said, "I'm a pretty private person. I like to disappear." He is the rare star who understands that visibility is not identity. He does not perform downtime, he experiences it. When cameras turn off, he does too. No sponsored beach vacations, no exotic selfies, no birthday press releases. His life between films is not content, it is life. Friends say he goes days without speaking unless spoken to. He walks cities as if studying their rhythm. He can sit at a cafe without being noticed because he does not broadcast his presence. Some people call it loneliness, but it isn't. It is sovereignty. He chooses when to appear. He chooses when to dissolve. This disappearing act is not avoidance. It is balance. Keanu Reeves does not need attention to validate worth. He knows something our culture lost. You don't have to be visible to be valuable. In an age obsessed with footprints, he leaves none. He is not a brand. He is a person. That is why when he reappears, on set, in interviews, on film, it feels like a visitation rather than saturation. People lean closer, not because he demands it, but because he withheld himself. Keanu Reeves understands that mystery is not a barrier, it is gravity. By refusing to broadcast himself, he became the rarest thing in modern culture, a celebrity who feels human. But his refusal to play the game extends to the most intimate part of his life. In a world where romance is often just another form of content, Keanu chose a love that was quiet, real, and profoundly analog. For decades, Hollywood speculated about his heart. Who was he dating? Why was he alone? The tabloids wanted a starlet. The internet wanted a drama. Keanu gave them neither. Then, in 2019, he stepped onto a red carpet holding someone's hand. The cameras flashed, expecting a 20-something model, a meticulously curated accessory. They were wrong. Beside him was Alexandra Grant. She was not an actress. She was a visual artist. She did not dye her gray hair. She did not wear the mask of eternal youth that Hollywood demands. She looked like a real person. The internet gasped. Some were confused. Some were cruel. But most were stunned by the simplicity of it. Keanu Reeves, the man who could have chosen anyone, chose a woman who mirrored his own values. Substance over surface, art over image, connection over display. Their relationship wasn't a sudden reveal. It was a slow burn. They had been friends for years, collaborators on his books. Their love grew offline, in conversations about poetry, sculpture, and the quiet corners of life. Alexandra Grant is the embodiment of the analog world Keanu cherishes. She creates with her hands. She speaks with intellect. She exists outside the algorithm. When asked about the relationship, they didn't do a magazine cover spread. They didn't launch a joint TikTok channel. They simply continued to live, walking red carpets, smiling at each other, not at the lens. This love story is perhaps the ultimate act of rebellion for the analog man. In a digital dating culture of swipes, filters, and curated perfection, Keanu found something tactile and true. He didn't choose a partner to boost his brand. He chose a partner who understood his soul. It showed the world that he wasn't sad Keanu anymore. He was simply private. He had been protecting this garden until it was strong enough to be seen, and when he finally shared it, he did it without fanfare. Just two people, holding hands, comfortable in their own skin. This is the final proof that his way works. By unplugging from the noise, he didn't lose connection. He found the deepest kind. Why does a man loved by millions sit alone on a bench? Why does someone so wealthy give everything away? Why does a person who has suffered so much still choose gentleness? And tonight, we add one more. How does Keanu Reeves remain human in a world turning itself into machinery? The answer is not mysterious. It is discipline. He rejected the premise of modern fame. He chose privacy over performance, presence over spectacle, touch over technology, experience over image. He refused to become a broadcast version of himself. Keanu Reeves did something extraordinary. He did not join the Great Conversion, the transformation of people into profiles, souls into branding, moments into content. Everyone else plugged in. Keanu stepped outside. He became the glitch in our cultural code, the proof that visibility is not existence. In an era where we live stream breakfast and announce emotions to strangers for digital applause, Keanu Reeves remains unquantified. He walks, he listens, he creates, he disappears, he returns. He does not ask to be watched. This is why he feels mythic, not because he is unreal, but because he is real in a landscape that no longer knows what real looks like. We live in the Matrix, not of machines, but of screens. Keanu Reeves is the only one who unplugged and kept walking. He does not fight the system. He simply refuses to be defined by it. He knows what the rest of us forget. A life documented is not a life lived. He eats quietly, travels lightly, loves deeply, grieves privately, connects intentionally. He is the rare soul who holds his life instead of uploading it. That is why he confuses Hollywood and comforts strangers. That is why the world projects virtue onto him, because he reminds us of something ancestral. We were not built for constant exposure. We were meant for mystery, moments, touch, presence. Keanu Reeves is a messenger from a vanishing world. A world where identity was internal, not marketed. Where value was in being, not broadcasting. We call him the Sage of Hollywood, the poor millionaire, the ghost in the machine. But perhaps the truest name is this, the last real human. Not flawless, not invincible, just awake. And in his quiet anti-performance, he leaves us with one instruction. Unplug. Look up. Feel things. Let silence exist. Stand in the moment without documenting it. Life is happening whether or not anyone is watching. Keanu Reeves already knows this. Now, it is our turn to remember.